Good evening, Tom. How you
Hello. I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Mike?
doing? Hey, it's been a minute. I got caught up with
hmm
the very end of the school year for the kiddos and summer starting and work and da-da. So we got a little bit held up, but here we are. We're back in the saddle. And so I
hmm
appreciate the you giving me that time for us to reconvene and figure it out, and then and here we are. But I am Mike.
And I'm Tom, and we're here to get out on the road and talk about Furiosa.
Yes, yeah, we are the first last nerdom, and this is our weekly show. And we'll let me pull up the thumbnail. Once again, Tom has done a great job on the thumbnail here, as it were. Furiosa, Mad Max. This one kind of popped up, and you said, "Hey, I'm gonna go see it," and
hmm
you're like, "Hey, if you see it too, we can talk about it." So it worked out like that. It was very, very cool, very fun.
hmm
So much to get into
Yeah,
for
I'm.
this one before we
mhm.
jump into the
Yep.
main thing. But go ahead.
Yeah, I rarely go to the movies. I tend to stay in my cave, but I decided to crawl out of my cave to take a look at this one. It's one of those big movies that needs to be seen on the big screen.
Yes,
But yeah, let's
the
talk
Blu-ray.
about our channel for just a minute. And
Absolutely, yeah. And while you bring that up, good call out. Yeah, we like Tom was saying, we very rarely do we cover like it's out in the theater now. I think that's a kind of a special treat
mhm.
that we kind of do this thing. We just chase serendipity, I suppose, as it were, week to week.
Yeah.
But we are the first last nerdom, and I will roll down through our bona fides here. You can also find us on Reddit. Tom's account here. He's got us there, so you can hit us up there on the first last nerdom. Excuse me, I'm so used to saying the. And also, Tom is the CEO of our Twitter wing of the company, and
hmm
you can catch his insights there, and sometimes where he'll share a little bit of slice of life, or our latest drop on the YouTubes. But of course, and that's my little thing, ApeIt Inc., where I kind of get into other aspects of the realm of beyond nerddom, or maybe being nerd about other things like current events, that stuff. This is my link tree with all of our stuff. I need to add your Reddit thing there, but this is kind of like a
Yeah,
cool
yeah. My
gap.
my younger friends keep telling me I need to get an Instagram to promote our channel, but
I That would be cool. That would be, hey, and I'll hand that off to you as well. Like about the only
yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
if it happens, it happens. If it not, that seems to be yeah. I'd almost like to hand that off to one of my younger friends to say, hey, go with it,
Yeah,
help us
no,
out. But yeah,
we what we probably need to do is automate. We probably need to put a profile up on all the big ones, and then just
mhm,
automate it or whatever. But like, the other biggest
yep.
thing that
Mhm.
we're missing, I think, though, that we need more, and I've been promising the audience for probably a year now, probably longer than that, but was our website. At some point, I will go back and do our website up
Mhm.
right. It will be anything fancy. It'll just be, a basic service thing. But hey, we would love to hear your feedback. Tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. If you disagree with us, that would be, hey, that's fine. Any kind of engagement is good. We just ask that you be civil and nice. And if not, that's fine too.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna, you're not gonna hurt my feelings for sure. Or even better, if you make
Mhm.
a video, a React video, we absolutely welcome that. But we are headed here into the summer season, like Tom was saying, and we got this big one ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't huge at the box office, unfortunately. When I went to see it on the Memorial Day weekend on Memorial Day, which
Mhm.
is usually traditionally a huge day for box office. And when I walked in, I was the first person in there, and by the time the movie started rolling, there's one other guy there. So I know the first weekend Garfield beat it at the box office.
The
So
first
and
weekend?
even yeah, and Garfield
Oh
didn't
wow.
do all that well either.
Yikes.
So that it doesn't bode well for any more in the Mad Max series. But we're here to talk about the movie and not how well everything is going.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to bring up our picture there while we were talking about it, point blank. Yeah, so summer, yeah, this kind of
Yeah.
popped up. I will say this, so that makes me sad when I hear something like that happen with this a really fun movie. There's really no bearing the lead here. To me, actually, I was so happy that you picked this one or you found it because there were also a couple others that I was interested in going to the movie anyway, or were contemplating. That was the Planet of the Apes one, and I'm surprised we didn't kind of talk about that. But I'm glad I
hmm
didn't. um, uh, we'll get into that a little bit later. And when I went into this, I had not seen any trailers at all. So I knew nothing. I kind of got a little side chatter from like kind of the overlap of the entertainment culture channels that we both kind of follow,
hmm
as it were. But I didn't have anything bad, like nothing like negative or whatever.
hmm
So I was going in blind. I loved it like that. I'm so happy that I did that, because I think sometimes I think it's probably more important the more you go forward in time with movies and how it is and how it just kind of it's just a waning. I'm not going to say it's a dying thing. I'm not going to go that far, but like just like kind of like cable TV and that where streaming is on
hmm
the rise and traditional things like going out to the movies. Like I mean, for crying out loud, even you or anybody else can go to Walmart or wherever and get a 65-inch TV for 150 bucks. You know, so you have that. It's
hmm
not quite the same as a theater, but I mean, why would you want to go out anywhere, especially when you get everything on streaming? But aside from that, like
hmm
catching that, I think that going forward in time, I think if I want to see something and I know I want to see it anyway, or I had kind of just heard about it, I think maybe it's a good idea for me to not do anything with trailers. Just being personally honest. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've stopped watching trailers years ago. I just well, if I'm kind of curious about something, I might watch the trailer. But if it's something I know I'm going to see, I won't watch a trailer just because I've been there there's no spoiler warnings in trailers, and they'll spoil it for you. But yeah. A lot of times, some movies have like a big twist during the middle of the movie, and the trailers will go ahead and let you know about them. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it's I've been kind of burned on trailers before,
Right.
and yeah, it's like okay, yeah. So yeah,
I'm
I knew I was going to see this. I've had
starting to see
a
that
huge
wisdom
history
for
with
sure.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
hmm I was always fascinated by Mad Max when I was young. The I was a little too young for Mad Max. That and Conan. They were like those sci-fi and fantasy characters that were adult. It's
Right.
like
Right.
okay, yeah. I would see like pictures and magazines about Mad Max or some trailers, and I was like, oh man, that looks intense. That's too much for me. And then when the third movie came out, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, I was a little bit older in my younger teen, and it was a PG-13 movie. It wasn't rated R like the other ones. So it's like, oh
Mm.
wow, I could see this one, and yeah, and I definitely went to see that one, and I fell in love with the whole mythos of Mad Max. So that was, even though it's probably the least as far as quality, that one's sort of like a bright spot in my mind. And of course, I've gone back and seen the first two, and but just a kind of a aside, that funny aside. Back where we used to work, me and Mike. I think this is before Mike got hired on. But me and another coworker, Jack, we were kind of off to our little. For a while there, we were kind of off to our own little devices there, and we actually taped off with tape an area, our area, and we called it the Thunderdome. And you couldn't get beyond Thunderdome without our permission. So,
That's
so
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So I've always, so I was always a big Mad Max guy, and when Fury Road came out in 2016, I was all in. I was very excited because we hadn't had a Mad Max movie in forever. George Miller was back doing it. He's done all of them, and so that one was huge. When I saw that, it was in a packed theater. Everybody was into it. It was very much a spectacle, and so right after the movie, he announced that he was going to do Furiosa, which was going to be about one of the characters in Fury Road. I was kind of less excited about that because I'm a huge Mad Max guy, but I was still curious because it's going to be in that universe, and she was an interesting character in Fury Road. But yeah, I learned that they kind of planned on doing Furiosa at the same time they did Fury Road, but they weren't able to, and they kept trying to do Furiosa, but there are all these kind of hangups and COVID and everything that delayed it until now. But yeah, we finally have it, and now we get to talk about it. So, do you have a interesting backstory with Mad Max,
Yeah.
or is
So
that
I
something that you kind of stayed away from?
no. I was always it was I know I saw at least one of them with my dad, one or two of them but I remember getting that kind of that joy or learning about it through him. And then I think your picture went frozen, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Actually, I'm gonna wait for Tom to see if he comes back here, and then I'll plug on. Hey, hey, Tom. Hey, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Unfortunately, Tom had a bad storm down there and knocked out his internet. So it put us on
Yeah,
pause for a couple
yeah.
hours.
The gods
Uh,
were angry. They knocked out my internet. I said, no, no internet for you. Yeah, I was I was asking you about your experience with Mad Max when it cut out. So I don't know if you got a chance to say.
yeah, I did. I was starting to answer it, and and actually, this kind of delay give me a little bit more when I was trying to filibustering here, which the audience will see because I'll cut right onto it. But yeah, yeah. So my experience with Mad Max was one like a lot of these things. My dad.
Hmm.
I don't remember the exact one, but I know that we at some point he rented it or we watched it or came on to whatever, and we watched a couple of them. And so like that, and then of course later on, years later, if it was me and my brothers or me and him or a combination of us or whatever, you would always see this like on TNT or TBS, that sort of thing, like come through
Hmm.
occasionally, and those were like always like, let's put it this way, whenever it came on and I had
Hmm.
time, I would watch it.
Hmm.
Like it was kind of like an automatic one. So
Hmm.
I kind of got in backwards. So by the time Fury Road came out, I do remember that coming out, and going to see it. I believe I did see it in theater, but if I didn't, I definitely saw it within the first whenever it came to you could actually go and rent it
Hmm.
or download it or whatever,
Hmm.
back then. But and I enjoy this. I was really happy that you picked this one because, um, and this is kind of me making a very long belabored point about the whole thing. But didn't see the trailer, whatever going on. Went to see this. This is the perfect kind of movie that you want to see, like when you just want to go to the theater and have that experience.
Hmm.
That I think is what is really cool. And I've been very lucky to have that feeling for the most part two other times this year, which were Dune Part Two and
Hmm.
Civil War, which I saw.
Hmm.
And I think we
Yeah.
might visit that one here, not in the not too distant future, because I think it's out officially. But anyway,
Hmm.
this was never put the movie aside, which I had a good time. Spoiler, I guess, not really, but I had a really great time. Um, I think I have the universal criticism usually that like if there's any negative thing to say in kind of short would be maybe cut it, 10, 15 minutes, but really, even still, like, I didn't feel like it was a chore. Like, some of these
Yeah.
other monstrosities, like, you're just sitting there and you're almost, like, kinda checking your watch 'cause you're in there, but you're kinda checked out, but this
Right.
that did not happen with this, even though I think they could have been just fine with, a few less minutes, but, anyway, it
Yeah.
was I love that I didn't look at any stupid critics or 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 trailers even. I'm glad that I just got to, like, let them tell me the story. Um, and one of the favorite things, and you get rewarded pretty early. You don't have to wait long. Chris Hemsworth. I think we're both. I was. I'll ask you this question, and then I'll let you give your overall kind of summation of what you saw. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on Hemsworth. But what were your thoughts like when you? Because you
Yeah.
admit you when you go see a movie, it's something that's important to you for sure.
Right. Yeah. It's not that it's an important film or not, but it's one that I'd want to see in the
What's important to you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
The performance,
yeah,
right?
important enough to see. Yeah. There's a drive to see it in the theater, and yeah, I kind of yeah, it's one of those big movies that yeah, needs a big picture. Like with Fury Road, it was a movie where George Miller showed that he could do nonstop action for 2 hours. That yeah, you could he could keep the pacing and go for two hours of just nonstop action. And then after that movie, people were saying, well, there wasn't really a story to it. There was just action, which is not true, but
Mhm.
it is
Not at all.
is mainly just action though.
Right.
That tells the story through action. Whereas
Uh-oh.
answers to that. Well, I definitely can tell a story, and he definitely can with Furiosa. It's very plot driven, and it doesn't get marred into a big convoluted story. It's very easy to follow, but it's very rich with emotion. That's the kind of stories I like. Mad Max
A lot of emotion.
is
Yeah.
yeah, it's the Mad Max movies are a lot of vengeance and revenge are kind of baked
Mhm.
into it, and this movie is not not any different. In the even though you don't have Mad Max, although you do get a little tiny cameo of him, that if you blink you'll miss.
Right.
But Furiosa is who she gets introduced in Fury Road is very much a interesting and engaging character. I was like I said, I was kind of put off that we weren't going to get Mad Max in this movie, but I was pleasantly surprised, and
Ex
especially
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, I really loved Anna Taylor Joy's
Uh,
performance.
you've already broken the dam, so to speak. Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah.
It was classic underdog. I mean,
Hmm.
archetype, whatever you want to call it. But
Hmm.
the thing is, if even if it's a little bit cliche, it
Hmm.
works when when you carry it. She picked it
Uh-huh.
up and carried it off, no problem.
Hmm.
Absolute joy to watch her and enjoy
Hmm.
Taylor. Right, was
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and sometimes, as you do, we like to watch some of the talking heads on YouTube
yes, we do. Yeah,
about movie criticism and whatnot. And I think, um,
not in this
there
particular case, though. To be honest,
exactly. I was going to say
no,
that.
no interest in the normal people that I would like watch for critic or whatever. Totally didn't even give it any time of day, and I'm glad I did. Anyway, go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think some people could get too caught up in to, I guess, the politics of movies now, where they want to they automatically discount any movie that stars a woman in it, which is ridiculous. An action movie with a woman. I think they're confusing ideology with telling a good story. If you throw all that crap out and just tell an amazing story, it doesn't matter if it's a woman, a chimp, or
Right. It
you
doesn't
could
matter.
have an animated movie about a bird, and as long as you tell an engaging story, it doesn't matter. You don't have to eat every time for an action movie. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think.
so
Yeah, most people don't give a crap about any of that. They just want to be entertained. I
mhm,
mean, and it's one thing to like get. It's one thing to have a firewall up, I guess, is a good way to put it
mhm,
for like shit, because we don't. Nobody
mhm,
likes to be preached at and da da da. We get it, but at the same
mhm.
time, how like are you always going to be a stick in the mud? like
Yeah,
it's
right.
kind of like I've had this conversation in private with you, and at length with Justin for sure, which
Mhm,
is stop telling me what you're against,
mhm.
and like and have an actual personality. Like not like wear your likes and dislikes on your sleeve. I mean, like it gets old after a
Exactly.
while.
Yeah, yeah. Who likes a negative Nancy? I mean, you don't.
I mean,
Who likes
I
being around someone that's
like
only
I
talking about the bad side of things?
yeah, I get it, but like we both of you and I, like
Mhm,
we're doing this thing, and I'm not saying that people can't have their own opinion and their own fiefdom. Go nuts. Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. It's we you have absolute freedom, just like we do. But we don't we try to differentiate ourselves and make a conscious decision to not jump into the
Yeah,
things. I'm sure we get a lot more eyeballs if we were like if we came on here, and we've had our we are not afraid to voice our opinion.
yeah.
But for the most
We,
part,
we we don't mind being spicy at times,
sure, but
but
not
yeah, mhm,
negative all the time, like
right.
over and over. Like
Mhm.
that doesn't help anybody. I would rather like, hey, we watched this cool thing or whatever. Hey, maybe you want to check it out, or maybe you don't like it, or tell me something
Yeah.
constructive.
I think what it boils down to is if you go to make a movie, write a story, write a comic book, write anything, if the agendas if there's an agenda, no matter what it is, if that's at the forefront of it and that's the most important and only thing you want to focus on, then it's
Right,
not going to be an interesting, engaging story. Now you
right,
can have an agenda, you could have an idea or a plot, an idea, and something behind all of the action. But the big thing is to tell an engaging story, whereas the agenda doesn't like knock you over the head. The more subtle that you could be, the more engaging you could be, and the more accepting of an audience will be to what you're trying to tell. And actually, if you do have an agenda and it's kind of baked into it, you may have a convert eventually
sure.
to your side. But if you come in with your agenda blazing and it knocks you over, it's not gonna work.
It is right. It's gonna get
Or at least not for me.
yeah. Well, no,
Like when I
I love
was
how you lay that out.
uh
It's
like
true because
mhm,
like you can become your own blocker before you even get started with a
mhm,
bad. If you're trying to override the story and the characters and enforce something,
mhm.
one that
and
very rarely works, and two, that's going to fall on its face just
mhm,
as much as being
yeah,
negative Nancy over
yeah,
everything. It's
yeah,
kind of
and
two extreme
and
cases.
maybe to crystallize it a little bit better, and we'll get back to Furiosa here. Do you remember? I don't know if you were old enough or back then, but do you remember like uh, after school specials or
Yes.
things like that?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Those audience members that don't remember it, they were just like a half-hour thing that your favorite afternoon cartoon or something would be. They would block it out, and you wouldn't get to see it. You'd get to see this after-school special about about drugs, or there was like
Right.
a certain message that they're trying to teach the kids. And I always would step. They were always done in sort of a ham-fisted way. They wouldn't tell an engaging story. The main thing was just to say don't do drugs or whatever it was trying to tell. And very much the same as I'm sure everybody remembers those sitcoms where there was that on a very special different strokes or on a very special whatever show where they would bypass all the comedy and would talk about a very serious subject. And it was always kind of laughable. So yeah, anytime you have an agenda or a message or something, it works much better if you're way more subtle about it. And I think our the movies that we were kind of rebelling against a few years back were those that were, I guess, they got mixed up and had this agenda or message that they wanted to push forward, and instead of telling an engaging story, and that's where we part ways with
I,
with those type
no,
movies.
I think it's fair, and don't get me wrong. I think it is absolutely fair to call out, trafficking in propaganda and kind of like a trade lines that are converge. They converge on one type view,
Hmm.
and that view is legitimate in
Hmm.
certain aspects of life, no doubt. Just
Hmm.
like everything else has a time and a place.
Yeah.
But when you try to put that over as a filter or lens or whatever you want to call it
Hmm.
over everything else, it doesn't make sense because
Yeah.
then you can't explain you can't explain unfairness
Hmm.
without objective understanding of what's before you and what you
Hmm.
hold that is positive and what you hold that is negative, etc. Anyway, this is all germane, but all the same, you can't make crap slop and then like expect people to be ecstatic, and I kind of wish. I'm glad that the it's just kind of funny the timeline from the original Mad Max all the way out till now. George Miller, that's so rare to have the original, person that
Writer, director. Yeah.
his vision be realized, from here, with it not being so cut up and ripped apart and then reassembled like say Terminator,
Yeah.
or
Absolutely.
Alien or
Hmm.
Predator, or I mean, gee,
Yeah.
I think there is franchise fatigue for sure. I get it. Like I was talking to a friend offline, and I made the comment about how it's just kind of like they just take, it's just a big washing machine or a laundry mat, like where they just
Hmm.
rewash whatever nostalgia bait trap thing, and sometimes it can be good, but most of the time it's not. And then we get this thing, so it's amazing that this. I kind of I'm sad a little bit that there is franchise fatigue. I think that is a thing,
Hmm.
and a natural kind of resistance to all these things. And I think, sadly, that did not play in the favor of this. I think
Right.
sadly, but I think word of mouth, maybe. I hope they let it stick around
Yeah.
because it's
I.
still it's a blast to go see. It's
Yeah.
best
It's
praise I can give it.
a movie that has legs to it.
Absolutely,
It's a
I
fantastic
hope so.
story, and actually, it's one of those movies where after seeing it, and it's a prequel to Fury Road. We probably didn't say that, but
Oh yeah,
yeah, the it's basically a prequel. So, but I could almost it's a lot of times when you make a prequel, a lot of times it's with the foreknowledge of the sequel to it, or the original, and it's usually best to watch them in order that they came out. But in this movie, in this sense, I think I haven't tried it yet, but I think it probably would work better just watching this prequel and then watching Fury Road. It would tell
I
a more complete story.
I think that it would. 100% agree with you there. It would make more sense, and then
Hmm.
you had the depth if you want to go into the other, obviously the
Yeah,
original Mad Max, and then kind of loop back around. But
yeah, and like some,
maybe cut it off
yeah.
if up to you, like where your sensibilities
Hmm.
lie for, or like what your some Mad Max is. I think it's a
Right.
fun
Yeah,
series.
and it's one of those things where, well, every single.
Uh oh. And, I'll let Tom come back here. Hopefully he'll his connection clears up. I might have a kitty invader here. Oh man. Well, Schnooks. Schnooks. All right. Give it a moment or two before, and then I'll just kill it, and then I'll just come back and splice over this. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was about ready to cut the thing, and then
Yeah, sorry about that.
oh yeah, no
I
worries,
guess
no worries.
things are still a little crazy here, but yeah, I was saying that yeah, each of the first three Mad Max movies don't tell like a coherent, a complete, continuous story. Each of them are kind of independent of themselves. So yeah, the first three you could watch them in any order, really. With this one, yeah, it does tell a more coherent story with a part one and a part two to it. Um, like I said, there's a little bit of a hint of Mad Max in this movie here, but I was also the it's a 2.5 hour movie, and like Mike said, I didn't feel like I was looking at my watch at any time. It was
No,
very much engaging.
it filled every minute of it, like for the most part, very well, very well.
Yeah, and there's the you could probably trim it down, but it's I couldn't offhand. I can't think of anything I would want to cut out from the movie. There everything seems to be there for a reason. And I was actually very much impressed by Anna Taylor-Joy, but also with the young Furiosa, Aaliyah Browne, I think is her name. She plays her in the younger scenes in the about the first half of the movie. I was kind of surprised that she's in as much of it as she is. She's almost in half of the movie,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna a good 40%. I was gonna say.
yeah, and the cool thing about it is I found this out by from Red Letter Media. One of the guys on the show was talking about it. I think Jay was talking about it. How they kind of morphed. They kind of digitally changed the girl's features and gradually changed her over to Anna Taylor Joy. So they
Uh,
started kind of morphing in her features so
yeah,
that it was kind of seamless. And in fact, I didn't realize that the changeover to Anna Taylor Joy until it happened. Until I was like, oh wait, this is Anna Taylor Joy now.
yeah.
It was
Slowly,
very
yeah. You
seamless. Yeah.
they did a very good job of the transition through,
Hmm.
because they don't just go from zero to
Yeah, there
15
wasn't like
years
a
later.
scene. Yeah,
They
yeah,
they
exactly.
they build up to it, and you
Uh-huh.
are there with the. This is what I love. This is what I love. You are there with just like any good movie. You are there with the main character, and you're there every
Hmm.
step of the way. Like every time they get kicked in the head, all the way to them, finding their place, right? And going from, and it's extra special with her because of where she was, where she started at.
Hmm.
She's. I won't go into spoilers here, but there's like a certain transition, like where she starts at after she gets
Hmm.
kind of resigned to her fate, captured, etc. Like twice. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it just adds to the heightens the story and the drama, what you see unfold, and then her
Hmm.
going from that to where she kind of was able to escape, kind of, but
Hmm.
definitely escaped a horrific
Yeah.
potential life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
It
and
was a joy to see. Anyway,
especially with Furiosa, since we know she's in Fury Road and we know she's in this movie, we know she survives this movie to get to Fury Road.
right.
So, so even one of the things with prequels is that you know that certain characters don't die, and kind of know how things will end up. The cool thing about this movie is it's such a brutal world that even though you know that she survives, it's still action packed. You are still rooting for her. You're still terrified for her because the stakes are so high within
Yeah,
this movie.
you like when certain corners you are or approaching certain corners and they're getting being turned before your eyes
Hmm.
in the movie, so to speak. You don't know what's coming, but
Yeah,
you kind of like it's
it's
very
almost
well
like
done.
yeah, it's almost like those serial action things in the 30s. It's like how are they going to get out of this? And they always have like a inventive way to get out of danger. You know, that's kind of the sense of it here is like how are they going to get out of this? And then, as you mentioned, Chris Hemsworth earlier,
He's
he almost
he's so goddamn good. Pardon
yeah,
my
he
language,
almost
but
yeah, he very much steals a lot of the scenes that
yes, he
he's
does.
in.
And but
He's awesome in this.
only in the most complimentary way. To
hmm
he doesn't overshadow anybody. He doesn't
hmm
undershadow anybody. Like everybody has
No,
everybody shines very brightly in just
yeah,
about every
yeah,
scene they're in. And there's a chemistry there that works. And
yeah.
but
There's
despite
a constant. Yeah, go ahead.
was Spiderhead. I was just gonna say, or the
uh,
I
oh
can't keep.
yeah, yeah. That's
Was it
yeah.
called Spiderhead? I was the one that was had it.
Spiderhead. Yeah,
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 Spiderhead. Yeah.
yeah. I
Anyway,
believe
go
that's
on,
it.
go on. We can come back to that in a minute.
No.
But go ahead.
But no, I was just gonna say that there's a kind of a fire, a slow fire that burns within the eyes of Furiosa. That this calm or this quiet fire that's constantly with silent
Yeah.
um, protagonist needs that kind of flamboyant, overbearing villain to kind of counterbalance it, and Chris Hemsworth is like the perfect balance. You know, in the one sense, you have the archetypical kind of Batman stoic. Hero with a flamboyant Joker like villain. You know, it's time tested and it works. You know, and it
You're
works
right.
fantastically
True.
here.
You're 100% right. That's funny. Yeah, I was just gonna say Spiderhead with Chris Hemsworth was like the fond memory of him playing such a bad guy. He plays it.
Yeah, and that's
I,
I didn't.
he
I didn't.
if he's down with it, man, I would absolutely love to see Chris Hemsworth be the baddie in anything in the future for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, he, yeah, I didn't even think about Spiderhead, but yeah, he was a fantastic villain in that as well, and yeah, this completely redeems him from Thor: Love and Thunder, that debacle, that mess of a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he, yeah, and he said in interviews that he kind of misread that how he acted in that one, and that he kind of regrets his performance in that, which is
Love and Thunder.
kudos
Yeah,
for
yeah.
him to it's kudos to him for realizing that and to being able to evaluate himself that doesn't have that huge ego like some Hollywood stars have,
Right.
where he can analyze it and then and not have an ego enough to be able to wear that prosthetic nose in this movie, making him almost somewhat unrecognizable. It also kind of it works for the character and it works wonderfully. But if he was kind of conscientious of his looks, he would not have done
No, no,
that.
no, no, no. And that's what he is such a he is a professional. I mean, he's not afraid to
hmm
take on different things and do different things for sure. And
Yeah.
I see a couple of things here. I I'm gonna put a, I'm gonna I'm gonna put a pin in one because it looks interesting, and it would be cool to see what he does. Now going back to the movie here. What
Mhm.
was your favorite? I guess. Did you have a favorite part, or did you just love everything? It's a softball question.
Well, I enjoy a lot of it, and I think I'll go against YMS. I watched his review the other day. He liked the first two thirds of it. He felt like the middle back half was kind of dragged and was less interesting to him, and then he loved how it ended. But actually, I like I like the whole attack scene with the tanker, that first one where the little guys in the back of it,
With the
and
cabbage, yeah, 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 with the
where
food, yeah.
yeah, yeah, with the cabbage, and Anna Taylor Joy's first makes her presence known. You know, she's
Yeah.
been kind of in the shadows this whole time, and she comes out as a badass and one of the lone survivors of that attack. That whole sequence with the guys on the wings and
It was
yeah, I'm sure
crazy.
there was a whole bunch of CGI in that, but it
Yeah.
was such a well orchestrated. Now with an action scene like that, with a Marvel movie, you'd get like a lot of quick cuts. You probably wouldn't be able to understand the flow of the scenes
As
very
well.
well. But George Miller is such an amazing director of action that you are never lost.
Mm-mm.
In the action, you know exactly what's going on, where the all the players are
R-
at, and
Right.
what's going on, and that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And to watch that and for him to pull it off, it's such a beautiful thing to see.
No, I agree. 100% right on that. Yeah, this is why it's amazing. Like, I just wish that, I hope that it gets. I hope they make money on it, because then it would, hopefully show that there is
Yeah,
still some appetite. I
yeah,
have no idea where they would go, but I would trust George Miller enough to like let him do his thing. Like he's not
yeah.
quite
He
as
already has. Yeah, I think he has a third one planned. I think it's called The Wastelands,
okay. Yeah,
which would be wonderful to see. But I probably it probably won't happen. To be honest, maybe, hopefully,
yeah. Well,
but maybe Warner Brothers does sometimes. They've killed a lot of things, but they've saved a lot of things. So you never
sometimes they
know with
surprise
them
you.
what they're. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they could have ended Dune and not done a second. So the fact that that they went ahead and it has paid off. But yeah, one of the things when watching this George Miller, the fact that he was able to do at least Fury Road in this one, it's sort of like him doing his masterclass, his ultimate versions of Mad Max. That the first three movies had lower budgets. He wasn't able to make it as big and expansive and as epic as he could, and with these movies he was able to do. And while watching Furiosa, I just kind of relished in the brilliance of George Miller and how he was able to come to fruition his vision and do it as big and as loud as he
That
possibly could. And then I felt kind of sad because at the same time that he was able to do that, George Romero never got to do that epic
mm,
zombie movie that he should have been able to make. That Hollywood should have just thrown money at him to make, because it would have been an awesome, awesome movie. But yeah, we could rejoice that we at least got this.
no, it's true. It's true. It's very, very true. And to add to that, the fact that it was back in that decade, and I think the very first
Hmm.
Mad Max was like for a long time it held the Guinness World Record for most profitable movie for like 20 years, something like that. Like because of it was only made with 350K or whatever, and it grossed
Hmm.
like so many more multiples of that. Obviously, that's crazy. But the fact that he could do it
Yeah.
then, and he can accommodate and use all the good things that are for today and how to make a film in action, and he knows how to use those effectively. Um, it speaks to the man's genius, just flat out.
Yeah,
I mean,
and my my lord, the guy's in his late 70s, early 80s, and he's
right,
he's
right.
he's making these huge action
He
movies.
he
That's
he seems to,
incredible.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He seems to have not have suffered quite as
Hmm.
badly as like a Ridley Scott. Like, and I love Ridley Scott.
Hmm.
Don't don't get me
Hmm.
wrong. Like, I'm not gonna jump on and attack him. I'm just speaking the truth. You have young Ridley Scott, then you had middle Ridley Scott, then you had later stage Ridley Scott movies, and the quality, depending upon your take on what quality means, is it's been a mixed bag, I suppose, Blake. But not to negate his highs, but he's had some
Hmm.
consistency things, I
Yeah.
think. It's
Well,
fair
and
to say.
that's
And that's not just
yeah,
him.
and
George
that's
Lucas too. He suffered from that with the prequels. Like, whereas George Lucas
mhm.
was more constrained by having limits on his creativity and different aspects, like where he could just do what he wanted. And when you saw he could do whatever he wanted, you got the prequels. And I'm not digging in on that either, but I'm just pointing out some
Yeah.
interesting. The longer something goes on, you don't. I don't. This the thing that is really cool for me is the quality has only got,
Yeah.
that's rare. It just speaks to the
Right.
whole thing.
Well, yeah, and well, I think it's also the fact that George Miller had these ideas probably with him all this time. He
Good
has
about good point.
that fire and burning to make these. A lot of the other movies that he's made, like Babe, that pig movie, you don't usually associate him with Babe, but he made that movie as well. And I don't
That
know.
was
Uh,
critically acclaimed.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
Most of what he's done is critically acclaimed, but yeah. So he's done all sorts of things, and maybe some of the things aren't what he was passionate about. This is what he's passionate about, and it shows. It shows that even if you if you have to set on something for a few decades, it still could be an amazing thing. Because he probably had gotten offers to maybe do it on the cheap previously. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's a testament to him for him to wait for the right time to do these things,
right.
to have that forethought, and then on the thought of maybe directors kind of running out of steam. I think that's one of Tarantino's fears, and that's why he
Mm.
wants only to do 10 movies. That's why he's limited
Did
himself.
did he? What? How many? I was curious about this. Like, how many has he already done officially? Hadn't he already hit that
um,
number already?
he
I thought he did.
no, he considers Kill Bill as one movie. Part
Oh,
one and two are
that
just
makes
one
sense.
movie. So
All right, that's
he has
fair.
one left. He has one left. He thinks.
Okay.
He killed the director, so he's going to do something different. So I think that him hamstringing himself with one less movie, maybe or one last movie, he's kind of painting himself in a corner, and he's maybe he feels like he has to really come out with a banger for the last movie, um but yeah.
I
Just
don't.
say it's the last movie for now. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
How many times has Ozzy Osbourne retired and had his final tour and then came back? So
Right, right.
you never
Well,
know.
right, right, right. Well, you can give that modern. That's a modern thing, but yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely. I wish I would have watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sooner than I did. I stayed away from it because of general force field, kind of coming off of it that I didn't kind of like want to see a bad Tarantino film because I do enjoy his film, but it ended up being
Hmm.
perfectly fine. It was really good. I enjoyed it more
Hmm.
than I thought I would. But and great soundtrack too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Definitely.
that'll be a treat when that happens if it does. Yeah, like you were saying, just say your last movie for now. You know, until the next
Yeah.
one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because he can
Right.
go do whatever he wants.
Or not. Yeah. Hmm.
I would hope that maybe this like I hope that it continues to make some kind of money. However it can while it's out there. Maybe I should go see it again.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Uh, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, it's one of those movies that an audience will find it. It's one of those movies where, like you said, word of mouth, or yeah, it's kind of sad that we don't really have the word of mouth anymore. That I watched a video from Red Letter Media of last week where they were talking about the death of movie theaters, and which was kind of spurred on by all the discussion of Furiosa and
Mm.
Garfield about how badly they did for a Memorial Day weekend, and how many theaters are closing because of poor sales. And in fact, I bought my ticket online for Furiosa, and when I walked into the theater, there was you were kind of challenged to find someone working there. So I just walked in and just walked on in and sat down. No one ever, challenged me to look at my ticket or anything.
Dang.
So I'm an honest guy. I could have just walked in and, and took a seat. And that
Right.
that that was the same way when I went to see Dune Part Two. I just walked right in and
Dang.
just found a seat. So yeah, the fact that they barely have enough people working to even check tickets and whatnot, that tells you something is going
Yeah.
on.
Well, yeah. Well, mine's always it's Ronnie's, so it's always got people coming and going. It
Yeah.
I didn't suffer for any lack of service, but when I had I could pick whatever seat I wanted. Like I had the top center, top dead center, just a little bit off to the right, completely fine. Like it was
Yeah.
a wide open path for me and my daughter. So it was nobody. There
Yeah.
was like it was a couple other people, but it was not. It was more empty
Hmm.
than it was full for sure.
Right.
And I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't see it at a weird time, but we did. Well, I wanted to see. This is one thing I've learned too from Dune is go see the IMAX. Like if you can see the version of it that they call for. Normally that's a dumb gimmick, you can ignore it. But in this case for IMAX flicks, it is good to see that in the preferred thing because it does add to it to the experience. And it actually makes
Yeah.
it more of a fun experience, I guess. But I, it,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just not as
uh,
popular as a thing. I don't, and half of a movie is like, even if it's good, it doesn't mean that it's going to make it. The other part of that is just timing. And it's always been that way, regardless of whether we're kind of in a down cycle for movies or
yeah.
not. Um,
They should have. They missed out. You had what was it? Barbieheimer
oh yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
Barbenheimer.
yeah.
They
Oh,
should
they
have done. They should
fucked
have
up
done
with that.
Fury Field, Garfield and Furiosa do
That would have
Fury
been
Field.
cool.
They
That
should have done
that actually
the
that probably
challenge of
actually
seeing Garfield and
that
Furiosa.
people would have rolled their eyes, but that would have worked because
Yeah,
we'd be like, why
yeah, I think
not? Why
so.
not? Yeah.
Or they should have had a Dune Part Two had the vaguely suggestive popcorn
Oh yeah.
bucket. They should have had a popcorn bucket for Furiosa, made a little car or something. That would have been
Yeah.
cool.
That would well. There's so much cool gear porn that you could pull from Mad Max. So like well
Yeah.
you had the Garfield and that the Barbieheimer what and that I remember I was kind of getting a little sad. I was like, man, I was like because I remember that and like it was fun. It was me and my daughter, like I was like looking forward to something like that again, and there wasn't really anything on the thing, and then this happened. And it was like really cool. So it's it's cool anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would. I think it would have worked out the Fury Field. I'm sad I didn't think of that earlier. Maybe we could have got a momentum rolling from our channel, but who knows? All right, but but you could also tell in this movie that George Miller is a very much a kind of a gearhead.
Oh yeah.
Everything looked like it worked in this world. Some of those sci-fi movies, everything kind of looks, there's kind of like a mystery. How does that work exactly? Whereas this, a
Leap
lot
of
of it
faith,
was
right?
very, yeah, yeah, exactly, or CGI. Whereas this movie, even though it had like a lot of CGI, some good, some bad, everything looked like it worked here. Everything looked real and had working parts to it, and
Right.
yeah, that's I think that's because of George Miller, and I was also gonna say I think both Tom Hardy and then I've heard in interviews with Anna Taylor Joy in this movie. The movies are so hard and so intense. They kind of come away from it kind of shell shocked, and the fact that you're so that even they're young actors that star in it are put through the ringer on this. That just kind of tells you what a kind of grueling session this movie is, and the fact that George Miller can make something like this is just it's crazy.
Yeah, it really from the practical effects to everything else, it worked. I see the Hollywood shots here. I was hoping to see the thing here. Derelict's here in
actual
my
movie.
yeah, the actual movie. Yeah. No, this was a great. Go see it. If you see this, we release this tonight. There's still plenty of time to go see it. Probably running out of time to see it in a IMAX
Yeah,
specific thing because they only hold
I
those
think.
things down for
Yeah.
so long, and if you know they don't have
Mm-hmm.
a performer, they move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I although there's kind of a drought till I was looking at July, and there's like a handful of movies that I wouldn't mind seeing. So,
Oh,
you
well,
know,
actually,
there's that as well. Yeah.
that triggers the next point that I wanted to talk about. I asked you,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to save it for the show. If you got to see in the previews, if they played Maxine, which is
No, I
it
didn't
can,
get that.
yeah, yeah, I did, and
Uh-huh.
I will not see a trailer. That trailer was perfect the way they played it, the way they showed it. It really
Mm-hmm.
makes me want to see the movie. Like it was really
Mm-hmm.
good. There were
Yeah,
actually
there's
quite
yeah,
a few good previews. Like even
yeah.
the Beetlejuice 2 one won me over.
Yeah, they did show that one. Yeah, the Maxine. We'll have to see that. That's
Absolutely.
next month. And then the thing that they also previewed on mine is Longlegs, which is
Mm.
another horror movie with Nicolas Cage, directed by Oz Perkins,
Okay, dang, I
Anthony
didn't get to see that
Perkins'
one.
son.
Yeah.
That one looks good too, and that comes out next month. So yeah, there's all sorts of good stuff coming out. So yeah,
Well,
maybe
we
you'll
just
get me to the theater more. Yeah.
no. Well, definitely. Well, you got me in for Maxine. I think we're locked in for that for damn sure. For
Hmm.
multiple reasons, but I would love to see Nick Cage. we we kind of are fans.
Yeah.
I would say, and he's a good actor,
Absolutely.
so he can do it.
Yeah.
And I did
Yeah.
notice that some of the I can't remember which exact channel, but you know, like the really good video editors will take and they'll splice in kind of pop culture reference that Simpsons
Hmm.
here or whatever there, which we probably should
Hmm.
do at some point. But even at my baby state, infantile state of video production ability, I saw them playing some of those from that movie that we saw last with him. It was cool. So I was like,
Hmm.
I know that movie. That was a good
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, the Abyss definitely stares
Absolutely.
back into you from that. That's a good movie. Now I'm gonna probably go rewatch that. But no, go see this one. You won't be disappointed.
Hmm.
And I was wondering. I know over. Well, actually, I'm probably on the hook for 3 movies in July. Because the
Hmm.
Minions, the Despicable Me movie's coming out. And that's something that me and the kiddos are going to see for sure. Um,
Yeah.
it's just a fun thing that when you can go in and share that time. And also fun to go see something for you. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some interesting things. One of the podcasts that I like, they did a draft for oh, I guess another big one is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. That was
Oh
the one
yeah,
I
that's
was
at the
thinking
end
of.
of July. Was it?
That
Is it
comes at
middle of July or end of July?
it's probably towards. I'm not sure, but yeah, it definitely come out in July. But there's a podcast I like listening to, and they did a summer movie draft where they got to pick. They had points, and they could spend points on picking movies, and whichever movies they pick at the end of it, at the end of summer, whoever's movies made the most money at the box office
Mhm.
wins the draft, which was it's kind of an interesting idea. They all had like 98 points to spend. And so, say if you wanted Deadpool, you would bid against each other, and however many
Right.
points you put on that, you would get. So obviously, the bigger movies got the bigger
Hmm.
points. But yeah, they kind of fought over Furiosa, and now I'm like kind of cringing for them. I was like, well, one of them really went big on Garfield. I was like, yeah, you're gonna lose out there. So,
Yeah,
so
I
we'll see
uh,
how that
the,
turns out.
the only commentary I would say on just how not great. It should have been double. I think the expectation. I don't even know. I don't. But like looking and seeing it, I think that they were expecting a very big 100
Yep.
million, $75 million
Oh
weekend, and that
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
happen. It was
Well,
half that.
Fury Road was like big, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and too bad that they weren't able to make Furiosa closer to Fury Road. Maybe it would have done better. But
yeah,
yeah, it's neither here nor there. We've got the movie. We may not get a next one, which is sad, but at least we
yeah.
got this. You know.
I was gonna say that probably doesn't bode well for summer movie season anyway. No matter what's coming out. Like
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say this, but I would be willing to predict. Why not have fun, right? That
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine won't be $1 billion. I think it'll be if not that, not that. I think it'll make money, but
it's.
not that. But who knows? Well, we'll find out.
I think.
But
I
it,
think.
but if anyone was, it would
I
probably
think.
be that
I
one.
think it. I think it will. Yeah,
You
I
think
think it
you think
will.
it'll be
I
a
think.
billion?
Yeah, if you ask anybody what movie they would want to see, that if you give them a list of movies to see this summer, that would be the one everyone would pick.
I
I
think
think
you're right. Yeah. Well, I
almost
think
everybody.
no, I think ultimately you'll be right, but like I don't know. Like we'll see what kind of season we slide into. It does, if things don't pick up or something become the big thing, Beetlejuice 2 might not be looking like a good bet. Like but it actually might be
Yeah,
good. Like that's the sad part. Like that's the that you just don't
yeah,
know. Who knows? Who knows?
yeah, 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 yeah.
One thing.
I'm just
Oh, go ahead.
the one other thing about Furiosa that it made me think of it because Jay mentioned it on their podcast, their show, is that uh, one thing that I love about the Mad Max movies, they're not self-referential. You know, there's not that wink at the camera and they're like, you remember this thing from that particular movie that we did? Here it
Yeah.
is again. Whereas
Right.
I did see a little bit of that in the Beetlejuice trailer. It's like, we're doing that thing again. So that could be fun, but yes,
We'll see. I
that
mean, we'll
could
see.
get kind of tiring.
Right, right. Well, yeah, there's a lot that goes in, and never mind anything else. Like, I think we just came up with half a dozen different titles across different genres that we're both, one way or another, we're looking forward to seeing what we see.
Hmm.
So, anything like for a
Yep.
good, damn, like, just have some good movies, please. like, like Furiosa, it was perfect. I just wish more people would have gone, but it is what it is. So
Yeah. Yep.
it's not too
Yeah.
late.
I'm kind of used to that. I'm used to liking the underdog movies that
Right.
that don't do as well. Like for the longest time, I loved Blade Runner back when no one knew what it was. And the fact that it got got a sequel decades later is kind of crazy to me. But yeah,
That's
and,
true.
I love the failed TV series Twin Peaks that well, everybody loved and then hated, and everybody forgot about for a few decades, and then it came back. So yeah,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know about these things. They can come back, but you love what you love. Don't worry about the box office. That's what I always feel and always think.
No, absolutely. Well, and you just got to go with that. I've always said that I am not a barometer of anything. Like typically, I like Prometheus. A lot of people didn't like that,
Hmm.
but I liked it just fine. Just fine.
Hmm. Yep.
It served its purpose when we were when we were in a drought of sci-fi, and you get what you can get. Like it's not always going to be
Absolutely.
Star Wars blockbusters every other time. That's another
Absolutely.
one that's been struggling of late. But like it's not just that; it's everything is struggling. It seems like
Hmm.
just a point of
Yeah.
fact. So yeah,
Although, yeah. Well, there's always some diamonds in the rough. Like I just finished the last season of Star Wars Bad Batch, and that was
oh yeah,
absolutely awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Well,
One
that's
of the
what
best
my
best things I've seen.
yeah,
This year is that season of Bad Batch.
right on.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I've my understanding is like things
It shows that
like
Star Wars may not be dead.
no certain there are certain beloved ones like that and Clone Wars and Ahsoka also too that did very like the fans were perfectly happy with what they were what they got, you know. So there are people out there that do like things. Uh so you just don't know with that, which it kind of like it I was debating about this or not. I kind of like I have soaked up a lot of criticism of other properties, and sometimes you know I it causes me to wonder. Sometimes it's good to just turn that stuff off for a little bit and just go explore something on your own without being prejudiced or whatever, because you don't know what you might find, and you know. I've never gotten at worst, you know, you read a not so good book. I do that a lot with science fiction because I love the genre. Not everything is amazing. Some things are just
Right.
they're just TMZ, guilty pleasure kind of thing, you know. But they hold up well enough. But this is one of the good ones, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, it holds up, and it will hold up for time immemorial. I think it's one of those classic stories of revenge that just plays out perfectly. It's a complete movie in and of itself, but it also leads into Fury Road, and if you see both together, it's also an awesome movie to see. There's not like you kind of crave for more Mad Max at the end of Fury Road, but uh, it ends in a way that it's not needed. So yeah, if he never does get to another movie, you're set with those two movies.
Yeah, you'll
Not
be fine.
everything has to be a trilogy.
No, no, no. Thankfully not. And you know, you are pulled in. You follow the arc of a character, very well made, and it stands on its own 2 feet. I mean, I don't know. I think the Mad Max I heard some really dumb criticism about this movie, and just like kind of the headline, not the actual details. And it's like I don't agree with that at all. Like, yeah, where do you get that viewpoint? Like to say that it doesn't have this or that. Like, I mean, did you even see it? My first thing.
Right.
But yeah, no, you know,
this this mo- this movie doesn't know you, little bro. Let's go
right.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we're coming up to the end of the show. Unless you had any other aspects you wanted to throw in for
No,
the
no, no.
wood chipper.
Let's hit her credentials again. We got a channel here, the
Yeah, we
first, the
do.
last, and Nerdom. Take a look at our selection of stuff. Yeah, watch a video on a movie beloved to you and see if it stacks up with what we say, or grab one that we try not to be too spoilery and we tell you when. So if one of the movies looks kind of weird or interesting that we talk about, take a look at it, what we have to say about it, and see if it tempts you into seeing it. We've done a few Netflix ones. They don't do as well, but we kind of try to spotlight movies
Good
that don't
good
get a
ones.
lot of press. That yeah, that are good. Maybe a good watch to see. So yeah,
Right.
we
Being
also
as
cover comic books.
yeah, good being a spectrum for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we focused on one thing, it might be to our benefit, but we like to cover our tastes spread over all over the place, so that's where we're at. We're all over the place.
Right. Plus it's us doing it, not you. So you go do it. You go pick what you want to pick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do you, boo, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got are fantastic apparently I am first the last nerdom. We're on Reddit, right? And
Yep.
we try valiantly to post things in subreddits, but some people hate things.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah. That's it's kind of interesting which subgroups or subreddits will just automatically downvote it
So
if they perceive it as spam or you advertising, and then some people are very very loving and very accepting of
Sure.
realize see it for what it is, which is just a couple of guys kind of promoting
Fans.
their thing, and and they'll upvote it, and then some of them will just downvote it to oblivion. So
Right.
you do you, boo.
Yeah, Reddit is so fucking gatekeeping. Anyway, but God
Yeah,
bless you if you like Reddit,
absolutely.
whatever. That's you also head up our Twitter department, our
Yeah.
X as it is. Like I think as the world is slowly dragging its feet to call it X and not Twitter. Still gonna call it Twitter here or there. So it is what it is. But engage Tom on Reddit or Twitter, and we'll see it. This is my little stupid little thing. And then of course, like our kind of a landing spot, like where you can find us doing our things. Got to add the Reddit one. But going back to our thing, our channel, mainly on YouTube. This is where we do our main thing. 196. This will be 197. Where I don't. We'll have to like think about doing something good for 200.
Yeah.
Something. I know
Yes.
we
Yeah.
talked about doing some kind of game stream or something, but we'll eventually get there.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, and if you made it this far, you might like us, so you might want to give us a like, thumbs up, and maybe subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Also, we enjoy comments. I did.
Sure.
I tend to get some interesting ones on Reddit when I posted about Old Boy. One guy in all caps. I'm sure he just did it because he was lazy or whatnot. But he said that he watched the English version of Old Boy instead because it was in English. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
okay,
Right on.
all right.
More
But
power to you,
yeah,
man.
thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. But
Right.
yeah,
Right on.
but
Well,
yeah. So yeah.
go ahead.
We'll see you next week or so, depending on whatever happens. And
Absolutely. I've been Mike.
I'm Tom. See you in the funny pages.